Welcome to the SuperHero Sanctum, an offshoot of the PCVG in which Tetris and Waha try to pitch each other superheroes.
Each episode will be at least 10 minutes long, but each superpower may last several episodes, so stay tuned and enjoy the SuperHero Sanctum.
Alright, so what we have first here is the family. The family is an unknown number of shape-shifting changeling-like creatures that tend to kill off and replace existing crime families and cash in on their work. No one knows their real names, but some say they tend to refer to each other in private as simple familial relations. So if your gang leader starts referring to his number one as mother or elder brother, then you know there's trouble, because they leave everything they touch in ruins. And that is the family, which, mostly can just play in on sort of generic mobster or, I don't know, whatever you
Any kind of
have.
drifter, any kind of vagabond or crime sort of thing they would be in.
Oh yeah, gangs, mobs, hell, even like heads of corporations that are of dubious origins and sort of goals. They could turn a regular company into something super terrible and horrible just based off of like what they have available to them very suddenly by taking over someone's entire life.
Well, and then, they piece it out, and it's cool for them because they're both espionage assassins, slash, like, mafia bosses, like crime family.
Yeah, that's where I was kind of hesitant to really give them too much definition to their power. Like, when they take over someone, how do they know what they're about? Do they know what they were thinking or doing? Do they know all their email passwords? Do they fucking like chop off the top of their head and like eat their brains to get their knowledge? I was thinking that, and they'd be like, oh man, that's kind of gross and awesome at the same time.
Well, you imagine because at the heart of it, what we're basically describing is one crime family that has X amount of roots, or X amount of cells in it, which are the family cell units that infiltrate different places. And so this organization, they could easily like not have any of those other supernatural elements of reading people's minds or taking over their thoughts, and they just do enough scout work and whatnot to cover for that. I mean, they have to have like certain people in positions that aren't supposed to move. They're supposed to stay there just to where they have like intelligence gathering cells and stuff.
Okay, so yeah, I do like that. Though we could have some of the higher powered members actually able to do weirder things like that, like just absorb knowledge. Sometimes like certain ends and means might not be necessary to do that, but when fucking mother comes in and, eats a gang leader or eats a CEO, she's gonna assume that identity while the rest of the family does their other means and what they need to do. And she has all the passwords and everything she needs to control a whole corporation.
Yeah, exactly. But that would be more of like the upper echelons of this gang family. For like the standard like four family unit, like I think what we had kind of talked out, they can be more or less, but I like the four family, where there are variations on mother and father and brother and sister as their names.
Oh yeah, and I can think of most like legitimate corporations slash illegitimate gang leader, gang sort of things being tied down to maybe three or four set people that would really need to be in control to gain complete control of said organization.
Yeah, they're like the heavy hitters or whatever. They're the strongest personalities. And what I like about it is that they just get to take over an entire organization pretty much, especially if they just have enough members dedicated to it. They could take over an organization and turn it against whomever. They're one of the few superheroes I like where that answer their own question of, well, where do they get followers and goons from? Because the Joker, I've never been satisfied with the answer that he gets people to follow him. He terrorizes people to follow him, but somehow he gets people to follow him.
Yeah, and gets people to listen to his message no matter what. These people adopt a message and then corrupt it.
Yeah, exactly. These people are just like they're the perfect usurpers. That's what they are. They're changeling usurpers of power that don't actually want to be in charge of anything, too. Like, from what we've talked about, they're destructive. They're all about tearing things down and taking their part of it.
Oh yeah, mostly just, taking someone else's hard work and cashing in on it. Like, fucking an entire drug empire, cashing out on it, liquidating all assets, and, well, it just breaks down after that, whether because there's no one running it or because there's fucking chaos within the ranks. But, by the time shit really hits the fan, they're out, and they've got all the money. Or whatever they need. Most of the time it'll probably be money. Most of the time, or other times, it could be, fucking people dying or who knows what.
Right, exactly. Well, that's kind of the beauty of it there. Well, and then what's their overall goal then? Like, if it's just for power or money or whatever, I understand that. Is there like the higher echelon, the person in charge, or the people in charge of the entire family? What's their goal?
Yeah, ruling the world. Just like anyone else's. So, pretty much anything they want to say goes. If they want two countries to go to war, they'll do what they can to make it happen. I guess it would end up being like higher and crazier political with these guys, but that's pretty much just where it would have to end up. Hell, they could fucking take over the president of either like the main USA type country or other countries just to instigate bullshit. But they'll do it because that's just what they want to do. I know it's kind of a more bullshitty sort of explanation, but eh, there's a lot of ways to make money if you have access to whatever you want.
Oh, I have no problem with taking the easy way out on this, or just going with the easy bullshitty. I'm just
Yeah,
asking questions that I'm curious about.
it's true. If they want, God, how could they even get more power? Even at the higher ranks, if they could, like, eat people and gain their knowledge, what would they need and how would they get more powers?
Yeah,
Maybe
it would
finding
be.
a locked in lead lad or other such things.
That's where I think we'd end up going with it. Is the people who are in charge of this would be people who don't actually need to tell their people what to do. There's always money given to them, and they're actually kind of bored. And so when the superheroes start emerging, like Locked in Lead Lad and stuff like that, and these are people, the changelings, I'm going to say, are hundreds, can live hundreds of years.
Oh
Well,
yeah, this has been
so
a thing that's been in the works for years and years. They're used to living out their lives in luxury as whoever they please.
but then these superheroes start coming along, and that's what they start wanting. They want the actual powers, and so that's where their interactions with superheroes come in, or at least these people on higher echelons, and why like their attacks on superheroes would happen is because they want the superpowers.
Exactly. So the main higher ranks could pretty much just be searching for a way to strip people of their powers and absorb them for themselves.
Right, while
Like
the
one of
lower
the
ranks are being pushed in to see what these people's powers actually are.
exactly. And like I don't know, yeah, that's a pretty good motivation and something for even the higher ranks who have been there for hundreds of years, someone who's probably close to death and they know it, they could try and be looking for immortal
Immortality.
supers because, I mean, we've created at least one immortal super,
We've
and
created two technically, just through the two Hero and Apocalypse Ghost.
Yeah, I want to say they'd probably be hard to absorb or take their powers since they're mostly intangible in their natural form.
Yeah, exactly.
Though
No,
I could see by destroying the current host of the ghost, they could touch on their power.
I'm sure there's a way we could make it happen later on, where we could make somebody into an intangible, which is what I'm going to label them as intangibles. But uh, it it's nothing that it's going to be like way later on that we might do something like that, and it would be something where like they would just the family or the older families would just capture them and hold them for a certain period of time to study them.
Yeah, either one. The good or the evil one. Which, I don't know. I'd see the good one having to stay put, but the evil one, if he really didn't feel like being held, he'd just fucking bite his tongue and move on.
Oh yeah, exactly. No, and it would be kind of a thing where they would have to appeal to him, and he would only be there as long as it kind of interests him. Like as far as his
Exactly.
motivation would be, it would just be kind of like, well, I'm going to let this play out for a little bit, but if they start torturing me, I'll just bite my own tongue, or something like that. Just where it would be kind of an interesting team up where the old men would end up, or the old changelings would end up, hiring him in a sense, just to work on their team as an
Oh,
army.
yeah. And I'm sure the Ghost of the Apocalypse would do pretty much whatever he thinks he could do to make sure more and more people were dying.
Right, and people in power are definitely right next to what he wants to do.
Oh, yeah.
Not that he wants power, but yeah, he just wants. With him, it's just he wants to go home, and I love those ones. That was a great first.
Oh, yeah. Poor guy.
Anyways, back to the family. So how big should we have this, or should we just be on it huge and it doesn't really matter? And then is
Oh,
there
yeah.
some sort of
Huge.
telepathicness? I kind of think that they should all be almost like mother, brother, father, blah 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 in all languages, but they have a telepathic understanding of the.
Yeah, they should have a hive mind of sorts. They can understand each other for sure, and they can communicate silently just in case. A matter of if all of them are in a room, they can at least say like, all right, we need to like put our story together in our minds and actually talk to these fools who are standing before us like we know what's going on.
But not like reading minds, just them themselves could be tele.
Oh yeah, just with each other, just like
Now,
that.
could they transform into animals?
Yeah, I.
Not like the lower ones, I guess, but like higher on up, we could address that they could transform into animals or just monsters.
Yeah, I guess it's just a matter of degree of control over which they have their power. Most of them can change into other humans. Others can change their shape into monstrous creatures or humans with like blades for hands or whatnot.
Well, we could even separate it out. There are some that are better at changing their body, and some that get better at the ESP, which is the difference between the brutes and the intelligence gatherers.
Yeah, I think it should probably be a combination of age and training. Like the oldest, most skilled sort of changeling can pretty much like transform into a huge gargantuan monster that's like able to breathe fire and do other bullshit, but they're pretty much at the end of their lives at that point.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it's taken
exactly.
them their entire lives to do that, and
And,
they might have even negated doing other things like trying to control the world or contributing to the family's power.
well, and
They've
even
been
then,
sort
like
of.
the family unit itself, the mother, father, blah blah blah. Those are for the individual units. When they get to the point where they get issued out to higher roles, they get broken up from that family unit, and so they have to be in isolation. And so at that point, the only person he has in his quote unquote family unit would be the trainee person he's training to do what he.
Yeah. So, yeah, it could be a good separation of power sort of thing. Everyone who's focused on the organization does one thing, and then a few focused on training their own personal powers and whatnot, of what's actually available to them, pretty much devote their lives to it. That's
That's
pretty much what they're working towards.
it's a family industry that's just dynamic that has kept them alive. This is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty good for the family. That's a good feel. I feel like anything else would just be us going into story on them, like not backstory, but like actual story.
Oh
So
yeah, shit
we're
going
going
on.
to work on their villain, the Paradox Man, which
Yeah.
you can listen to next week, internet peoples.
Thanks for listening to the PCVG Sanctum.
Enjoy and tune in next week.